One final match remaining for PCS1 APAC tonight, and it will then put us at the halfway mark, 10 games out of 20. Jordan, Q confirm running away at the length of the Flemington Strait. It's a really long racetrack for those who aren't aware.
I don't think anyone's going to know what that is.
No one's going to know what it is. They're running away with it, though. There is still that little group behind them. The Peloton is usually the phrase you
I like
go
to call
with.
it the Peloton, yep.
The Peloton, which is like Golden Cat, Buram, and Cerberus. Those are the teams that, in my eyes, still have a chance. But I'm almost, since we're at the halfway mark, just about one game to go, I'm almost pretty much ready to say the rest are done.
Yeah, I think you're probably on the money there. I don't see anyone from MSC or below being able to catch up to first place, at least. Maybe if one of Golden Cat, Buram, or Cerberus sort of fall off the ladder a little bit, you might see someone, maybe MSC, Maogi. Day trade's been pretty okay so far. Bahamut, for example, if they were able to get the ball rolling on a wrangle, get more than like 4 points over 6 maps of a wrangle, they might be within a bit of a discussion. But we haven't seen that historically so far, so who's to say that we're going to get that in the future? Luckily for them, at least, there's more Miramar next week. Anyway, we were talking, Xenox, about Miramar quite a lot and Bahamut Gaming quite a lot in that last map. Obviously, they were able to pick up the win, and we were questioning, how much better is their Miramar than their Erangel? Well, I can say that it has been those 4 points that they've been able to pick up on Erangel, 0 placement points, 4 kill points. But what is even more sort of egregious of a stat is that 100% of their placement points obviously coming from Miramar, 24, and 15 kill points coming from Miramar as well, which is 80% of their kill points. And the split should really be, based on how many games we've had on each map, 66% of your points should be coming from Erangel, and 33 should be coming from Miramar. But Bahamut is 100% of their placements on Miramar and 80% of their kill points on Miramar. So just let that stat simmer for you a little bit.
Yeah, it's intriguing to sort of look at, isn't it? And it's night and day between Bahamut Gaming and like Cerberus esports. And when you look at Cerberus, who are contesting for technically tied for third right now with Buram United, and then you look at Bahamut, who is in ninth, and it's like a 30-point something gap. It's just a stark difference between the domination of Cerberus on Erangel and their lack of domination on Miramar, and vice versa for Bahamut Gaming. Of course, one more game here to be played on Miramar. If Bahamut get like another 15-point game, Jordan, or so, that puts them a lot closer to Cerberus, and then it kind of evens that out there. The difference is, of course, a team like Q Confirm is doing it on both maps, right? I think it's like 60 to they're like 65, 35 or something like that. So that's their split. They are still doing a bit better on Erangel than they are on Miramar. But when they're doing so well on Erangel, that's not really an issue.
You should theoretically be getting. I mean, the split that Q Confirm have right now, 70-30 for placement points and 68-30 for kill points, is actually pretty much the ideal split based on the amount of games we've had so far. That's not going to be a fun start for Rain. And Chin, he knew exactly where he was. Rain was running around with the elephant feet. Gearbox is one of those interesting teams I've noticed, Xenox. I was taking a look back at the games that we saw on Thursday night and trying to figure out what their drop locations actually are. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out because they were all over the place. And I don't really blame Rain for going down there. I think it's just, Gearbox changing their spot and Carnage not really quite being prepared for it. It is what it is.
Yep. Well, with one game remaining here, we're reaching the halfway part, Jordan. I mean, is there too many surprises that we've seen for you? I mean, for me, I would say I'm not really surprised by too much that's taken place here for PCS. Like Q Confirm being the best team, not a surprise. There are the teams that are just below them, not a surprise. Is the gap being that large, especially from like first to fifth, being 70 points already? I'd say that's my only surprise right now.
Yeah, I would probably tend to agree. I think that I would have expected to see a little bit more close between maybe like 4, 5, and 6. Probably the other thing would be, I think maybe I expected Fury to place a little bit better than they have so far. They had that really sort of quiet period from about game 4 all the way through to game 7, 8 even. It was only into game 9, like yesterday night, last game, I should say, is the only game really they've actually performed tonight. And so I think that's a bit rough for them. Uchil's is being pushed right now by Astra. He's burning alive. He won't survive. The Molotov's going to finish him off. So Lynxy will get that knock. And there should be a res here for Astra as well. Yeah, I would say I think Fury probably underperforming my expectations just a little bit today.
Yeah, not just them, but probably even Astra to a degree, right? We look at this team and we know what they're capable of. Carnage has been the opposite for the Oceanic teams, where they haven't been a disappointment. They haven't let anyone down. They've been amazing tonight. If they had been this good on night one, for the most part, they'd be mixing around that top 5 region because they only had 8 points from their first 5 games. They've been a lot better here on night number 2. Still one game to be played. But one thing that I'm absolutely loving more than anything is sort of how close this lobby really is. Like, it's only 20 points, Jordan, from last to 5th. That's when it does get a bit of a jump. That next, top 4 is another massive jump, but only 20 points. Like, last is closer to 5th than 5th is to 3rd or 4th in this case, I guess.
Which is always pretty interesting as well, right? I mean, there's these storylines about first place, and everyone wants to win, yes. But at some points in PUBG, you get to a position where you pretty much know who's going to win going into the final day. And we may well have that if Q Confirm continue to stretch this lead. But what is interesting is seeing where the rest of the placements are going to occur, because I think there is still quite a lot of discussion points to surround that. Second is still quite a significant portion of cash. Remember, this is a $200,000 tournament, so there's no shortage of cash available, and the split is pretty substantial once you start getting further and further up as well. For teams like those from the ANZ region that don't get that many PUBG tournaments to play in, it's actually quite substantial, the amount of money that you can get.
Subang just runs into Art God, sends him packing early on. Bahumite Gaming, who have usually been very good on Miramar, found themselves a bit of a crossroads early on. Nice headshot as well from Subang, a parting present to Shin Ryuji. Bahumite sitting around middle of the pack is probably about right, considering the form of Miramar. And really, if they can just turn things around on Erenkel, they'll be able to find themselves a big opportunity to finish around that 5th place mark. But if they don't, I don't see them getting much more. Basil takes a few shots. Cerberus amongst it early, looking to try and find the wipe onto Bahumite Gaming. Mr. Chan holding close by to Heisaki. Not too close, as Heisaki does now depart back. Falls away, heals up a bit. Of course, every fight that Cerberus takes and every movement that Cerberus takes as well, Jordan, is so crucial and vital that they don't lose this fight and get nothing from this game. And then if Q Confirm get another 10 points, that gap just widens and widens. Everything from here on out at the halfway mark means a lot.
Indeed. Mr. Chan quite close by to Heisaki. I dare say both of these teams will be feeling that they're not too eager to be involved in this fight, knowing that Bahumite Gaming pick up the majority of their points on Miramar. Another good chance for them here, but it could be sort of swept by the wayside if the timing's not too good for them. And Basil is on a mad flank, has caught Mr. Chan, hiding behind the rock. Bahumite Gaming now down to 2. And Cerberus on the front foot. This is where suddenly you start to think, well, you know what? Maybe we didn't want to take this fight, but now we do.
Well, minute 30 seconds till phase 2. A lot of time. Really, for Cerberus, they don't have to rush this. They've been cool, calm. 2 early kills, Bahumite being kind of just ripped apart, but slowly, one by one, at the seams from Cerberus Esports. And not too much of a surprise. I mean, despite Bahumite's performances on Miramar, Jordan, Cerberus as a whole, well, most of that's been on Erengel. When it comes down to just a normal 4v4, you back them in to win this sort of fight. Bahumite can't use the map to their advantage much in this sort of situation.
No, definitely not. Basil's not concerned at all. He's going to go and loot a few things up, and I think Cerberus will probably be pretty happy to just rotate away from this position if need be. They're going to fire some shots into the vehicles, and there we go. Heisaki's on the move. The rest are on the move. And so they've gotten what they want, a couple of points out of this, and now they'll set up shop, wait for the next circle shift to come in. It's always good to disengage that fight initially, because it takes a little bit of time sometimes to disengage. And once that circle shift comes in, you do want to be fully disengaged instead of still sort of in the process of disengaging. Link Seal finished the kill onto 74L1, so early points on the board for Astra in this game. 2 of them already, courtesy of Linksy. It's a better start. See where this circle shift does end up going. And that's going to tell us a lot as to who might be feeling good about the final game of tonight. It's down to the south, right over La Bendita. So we might see some of that crater gameplay that we love. Teams dancing around the top and then teams sort of hiding in the middle. If it does indeed shrink down towards La Bendita.
It's probably the best circle Astra's had all night. And maybe the best circle they've had since like match 4, which was on Miramar on the first night. They've had, I gotta say, Astra's probably had a lot of the circle luck on Miramar, but at the same time, they haven't had much else luck on Miramar. Like, they keep getting third party, they keep getting teams run over the top of them. So even though they're getting these circle, the circle luck on Miramar games, they're not really able to capitalize on it. Like in the same vein that like Carnage was able to do so on Erangel tonight, where they were pretty much, tumbleweed, flowing by past them. They had no one really near them. We'll see what happens though, of course, but Astra need all the luck they can get in this sort of game to try and capitalize, which if they can, really, it's so weird seeing them in 11th, Jordan, but they're only 4 points behind 5th. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane how close things are towards the bottom end of the standings. I think that's largely in part due to, the points that someone like, for example, Carnage has been able to soak up tonight, which traditionally you'd think those kinds of points would be going to these middle of the pack teams. And then, the team that was in last place on day 1 and didn't really pick too much up generally doesn't pick much up for the rest of the competition. But they've turned their fortunes around, which has been pretty good. And it's meant that there's been less opportunities for the other teams, the middle of the pack teams, to get points on the board. So things are starting to shift in closer proximity as Carnage soak up
there's
more
a code.
Points. What
Quickly,
code? Hang on, I didn't see it. Wait, put it in where? What, my Twitter account?
Work in game. On your Twitter account. What? No.
Follow me on Twitter? At Elfish Guy? What?
What?
Oh, free codes on at Xenoxcasts? I didn't know. Wait, hang on.
What?
Did I
Minute
just
and a half
something?
until phase 3. We'll see. Look, I already put it in. I already got it.
Yeah, me too.
Easy.
Actually, we get to see it earlier. They gave it to us for free.
I heard if you're really nice to Elfish Sky, you get a higher percentage chance.
Mm-hmm. You say, I heart Elfish Guy in chat.
Yeah,
and,
if you say I love Elfish Sky in chat, you get a higher chance of getting a code.
Yep. Anyways, MSC heading on down. They're coming in from the north. Go past Cerberus, go past Bahamut Gaming. Turn our attention to An Kwan, who has got an enemy in his sights. Waiting for the perfect moment to strike.
Well, the last one alive. I mean, really, you can wait for the perfect moment, but the better play is probably to just not even shoot. He's probably waiting for him to actually leave. He's waiting for man to leave. I mean, at this point now, in the blue, take the shot, I guess. Waits for him to stand still. Okay, there you go.
Patience is a virtue.
Yeah, well, DIC aren't going to get much more than that, though. As we head over to Gearbox now, breaching the compound of Carnage. It's been an up and down sort of night tonight for Carnage. They picked up their first chicken dinner. Nice nade, the entry frag from Jordan pushing in for Gearbox. Immediate second knockdown. That's one for the highlight reel. Push in with the nade and then the barrel up close to find 2 quick kills. Carnage didn't even know what hit them. It was over before it started. Gearbox, well played in that situation. Next circle, right on top of La Bendita. Margi Esports, MSC. Really good positions here as well around the crater.
I love this final circle. If it does continue to shrink on top of La Bendita, it's such an exciting one to watch. What a spray from NAMC onto An Kwan. That was miles away. And he gets it done with the barrel. Now going to have an opportunity at Eagle Sentinel Shooter, who will try to rotate past. They look like they'll be okay. Playing in that low ground, in that dip, making it a bit more difficult for NAMC to hit those shots. Fury Australia are absolutely sending it into the middle of the circle right now. And I don't know about this. It may work, it may not. They're going exactly in the direction of MSC, but it looks like Waikika and Co., it's Jukesy in the buggy with him, have gotten into a building. I'm not sure that they're aware that MSC is there, but at least they've gotten to the cover.
Yeah, and look, there's enough room for Fury and MSC to hold out inside of La Bendita. But you kind of don't want this position unless you got nowhere else to go. And I think for Fury, they were coming in too late. They had nowhere else to really put themselves positionally. Like the problem is if this continues on to Labendita, Jordan, you're going to have teams on top of the crater watching down as well as watching out, but they will be able to look downwards here. Not only that, but of course MSC is already here. And let's be real, Fury haven't been able to really be winning a lot of their fights recently. So we'll see how this one sort of translates as we move forward. But fortunately for Fury, they don't have to take this fight immediately. There's so much time. They're in the circle. Phase 4 most likely should include La Bendita as well.
It's very much a calculated risk from Fury, isn't it? They were very quick to get into La Bendita, so the chances of other teams being there already was reasonably low, and so they make it work. It can sort of come unstuck if they do inevitably have to move out of La Bendita. That's where you really just get gate-kept by the teams that are playing on the crater. But you can't get that crater position until the circle moves in. Eagle Sentinel shooter popping a few bullets on their rotation. That'll be from Divine, who's just to the north of them, but they're driving away, so they should be okay. And it's poor old Monty here for Carnage, who's going to go right past Buru Ram, and I don't see this going well, Xenox. Oh no, you don't stop here. Oh dear.
I mean, I don't know what else he's going to really do. If he doesn't stop or he gets blown up anyway, stands still, takes the last few shots, and just, yeah, well, I think it just puts him out of his misery more than anything. And Carnage, I said they had an up and down sort of day, more highs than lows, especially compared to night number 1. So they'll be happy with their performance. Of course, it's not their fault that this lobby has been extremely close. That Victim Rise and Eagle Sentinel shooter still hot on their heels. As we are heading into phase number 4 now, as we watch Fury and MSC battle it out in La Bendita. Well, they're going to get the circle for phase 4 as well. Maogi outside of La Bendita. Astra still inside of the circle, and along with Day Trade, those 4 teams all inside. Well, technically 5, sorry, I should include MSC and Fury. 5 teams really happy with this circle. Everyone else outside going to have to make their way in. Fury continuing to take the fight with MSC.
Definitely going to be scary for Fury, having insight on the ground at the moment. Rosito is looking for some damage. He misses the shot, though. M24 not paying off this time. Might have been better off with the rifle. And they do look like they're going to get the res onto inside, so it was quite an extended engagement, but Fury have gotten out of it unscathed for now. They might just want to put their heads down, to be quite honest with you, Xenox, because they aren't, yeah, like you say, they're not winning fights tonight. They've struggled here already against MSC. They're going to need to heal back on up, just reset themselves. It's been a rough night for them, but no sense throwing this game away, trying to deal with MSC. See what happens with the circle first.
You confirm, along with Victor Rise taking shots, Fury Ram out to the east of this circle for phase 4. You confirm we're going to be in a position, though, where they're going to be kind of close by to Cerberus and Buriram, 2 teams that are obviously hot on their heels for that first place position. Nade immediately towards Nordra, just stopped. Jowman's had a plan, push right up to his shack though. The underarm nade on one side and cover the other side. Really well played. Not too much of a panic from Jowman. 6 bullets though, has to go for the reload. No other choice. Edie's been eliminated, so is Nordra. Now Canaxi, 3 members of Buriram. Pretty much obliterated as God Meows trying to 1v1 Jowman. He can't do anything. That nade should finish him off if he falls back. It doesn't, but he's so low. You can throw the pan, it'll hit him, and it'll eliminate him. They are going to be finished off. In the end, it's Samoy from Victim Rise. Jowman doesn't really get much. In fact, you confirm don't really get much from Buriram's demise, other than the fact that they are going to be able to increase that gap on the 4th place team.
What an absolute cluster of fun that was, Xenox. For Jowman. I'm not sure he was enjoying it too much, to be quite frank. It was chaos. Either way, Gearbox. Looks like Jay and not too keen on taking that fight. Obviously, they're going to have to. Day Trade is in a very good spot. Gearbox will want to take control of this building. Trying to push them out. Can't be out in the open right now because Golden Cat is going to be coming in behind them. That's the danger in this point.
This has got another big QC game written on it, doesn't it? They're just going to run into Cerberus, wipe them, then have the high ground of La Bendita. I can see it now. There's, 18.5 minutes gone here for match 5. Final game of the day for PCS1 APAC. But QC are on the verge of being at the halfway mark with like a 50-point gap. We'll see if they're able to translate more kills here as they start to push into Cerberus on the map that I can see. PCS_map. If you haven't got that one up yet, you're missing out. Vandal 9 knocked down by Turtle. 4 health. Bassel knocked down to the rock. 3 still up there for Cerberus. I did see on the kill feed they had a knockdown, so I think there's only 2 up. There is. Svit, Jayers. Last one's up for QC. Maybe I've been wrong in this regard, and QC might go out early here to the hands of Cerberus as well. That alone closes the gap immediately. Jayers trying to just make a run for it, but he's got nowhere to run. Camel's from the other side from Victim Rise. Sits him down and eliminates him. Spits the last one up. So QC aren't going to get much from this game at all, Jordan. So kind of similar to night number 1 going into the last game, and then the last game itself, QC unable to exponentially increase that gap. Now gives Golden Cat Cerberus a chance to catch up a bit.
Yeah, but is Cerberus going to get out of this one without losing a player? I do wonder. Basil actually is confirmed in the end, so it'll be just 3 for Cerberus. Fit is still hanging on. You never know what he's going to be able to do. They've kind of forgotten about him. Everyone's moved on. VTR and Cerberus have bigger fish to fry at this point because they'll know that one another are in a pretty close proximity. So Svit might have an opportunity here to find a way out or to get a couple more kill points on the board, which is still pretty impactful. Speaking of, Lynxy able to finish Maximus off. So Golden Cat have lost themselves a player.
Victim Rise have the high ground in this fight, and Cerberus haven't really been able to improve their position on the map after being a team that helped take out Q Confirm. Well, they didn't get the kills directly. But this next fight now against Victim Rise, which is a team they can very much be, even without Basil. You push forward, you can then take this position. You'll be able to start to push into La Bandita. Of course, Phase 5 moved away from this crater, but looks like Victim Rise are more worried and just running. They're not wanting to take the fight head on with Cerberus, even though Victim Rise can essentially gatekeep Cerberus. If they allow them through this little valley, though, towards Genfos, then Cerberus will get inside of the circle. So for right now, they're not really in there except for Hayasaki. Svit's still around the area as well. You can kind of see his name there in the distance on the mini-map, kind of coming in behind Cerberus. Might be looking for a bit of revenge very shortly. Nice tap from Gemfos. Hayasaki's low. Spit's pushing him from behind for Q Confirm. They're not going to realize this at all. He might be able to get more than just one. Could really spell disaster for Cerberus. Although, dropping down that hill, he doesn't really get the sightline that he would wanted. That should be an easy knockdown. And it is. Subang immediately eliminated. Can Spit get any more than that? 50 health inside of the blue. Now Hayasaki knows where he's located.
Oh.
But it's the New Zealander. It's Lynxy who finishes him off.
How's he hit that? Where even is Lynxy?
Know.
What? He's on the other side of the map, Xenox.
I know. How did he get that?
How did he even see? That can't be right. Oh, I don't even know. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that because I have no idea how that's happened. That's a huge shot from Lynxy. If so, that's gone so far. Anyway, La Bendita. We're going to be shifting away from that right on top of Maogi, who do admittedly have a 2-2 split. So they were hedging their bets pretty nicely. But Gakon is going to be feeling pretty happy about this. And if I'm Maogi, I'm going to be sending all 4 players into the center of the circle, which is exactly what they're doing.
Better game from Victim Rise. It's been kind of the theme tonight, Jordan. There's these bottom teams, Carnage, Eagle Sentinel Shooter, Victim Rise, have all had at least sort of 1 or 2 games where they've performed. It makes it so none of them are sort of sitting dead last with very little hope. And, well, they can all still compete right up to probably that 5th place. I'd say top 4's out of reach for those 3 teams that I mentioned. Although funnier things have happened. Here comes Bahamut Gaming, expert kings of Miramar. Hayasaki's going to be knocked out, and the initial knockdowns coming from my boy. His goal is up for Cerberus. He's the only one that's up. I haven't got the flash just yet. I mean, if he can, or the flusher just yet. I was going to say, if Ghoul wants to be aggressive and try and get the 1v2 to save his teammate, he may have had a chance. No longer, though. Nice reaction time from Shinryuji as well. Ghoul just running away. 8 health. Baihua literally just chasing him through the building. Has a Molotov, but he doesn't know where he's run to. He puts it behind him. He does get flashed from Ghoul. 14 health. Gonna go for the first aid kit. Has a bike. It's almost like he had an exit plan waiting.
This is a bit comical. Shinryoji has been flashed, and somehow Ghoul's kind of gotten out of this one alive. Now he's a real thorn in the side because they can't exit this building without dealing with him. Waikikimukau has found Seymour. This is insanity. Fury on top of the airplane, and they're actually crushing VTR. What is going on?
Crushing them like that plane crashed to that building. 3 kills for Fury coming up once that bleeds out. As we've got, what, 35 seconds till phase 7. 24 minutes gone to this final game. 10 teams, 29 alive. Kamel's on the move. MSC is still here. Rossiter Jr., Yanku, all 4 members of MSC are still alive. A little bit of separation here within this La Bendita crater. Rossiter, you can actually just see Camels is watching him from the other building close by. Fury way further south. Up top of the crater is Gearbox going for the revive. Camels does spot Yoshibinburi. Up close to him, though, is Rossiter Jr. Phase 7 now coming up for us. Mogi Esports get fed again. Yes, they do. Suri Jordan. It's been the feed night. And this time it's Mogi's turn.
Well, to be honest, have kind of had a bit of hard luck so far tonight. So it's nice to see them having a bit of that circle favor. Do still have to deal with Divine, and Mogi are doing that relatively okay. They've also dispatched of one more of the Astra members, so they're down to 2. Fury keeping themselves alive, Xenox. They've been in the wars a little bit, but they've got points on the board. They're getting close to being in the placements, and maybe they can turn their night around with a decent finish here.
No kills yet for Golden Cat. Right now, with QC obviously getting very little from this game, Cerberus, Golden Cat, Buriram unable to capitalize, but maybe gives the rest of the pack a chance. Nice headshot from Ronan from a lower ground position as well. High ground, not too much of an advantage apparently for Gearbox. Nikus and Astra helping from a distance as well, helping out Fury with a third party onto Gearbox. Nice headshot from Waikikimukau. Ronan slow has to fall back, but can't go too far. You can see that blue zone is now moving. J-End inside of the blues. Jukesy pushes up. Does he check? He goes for the flush on the Y8. He can't get the second one with the J-End. Pan takes a few shots, but not all of them. Although that's going to be the end of Victim Rise. There is still one member of Gearbox to deal with up onto the top. That's going to be the end of J-End, eliminated by Insight as Linksy finds a double notice this one. It's just Tanoi. Tonke inside of the shack. Veronica from behind. 55 seconds till phase 8. Molotov is on the outside, not on the inside. Shouldn't spread in trouble. Oh, he moves it anyway, though. Veronica's going to get him. He was very low. Fury have just been wiped by MSC. Yoshiminburu and Rossiter Jr. have just wiped out all 3 members that were still alive. And we're down to 6 teams when only 2 minutes ago we had like 10.
I mean, it's all happening at the moment, all over the map. It's going to be Astra that are under the pump right now, though. The shots coming through from Venotica. Linksy can't survive either. Astra out in 6th. And Mogi are still sitting pretty in their compound. Divine trying to push in, trying to put some damage across and get as many points out of this game as they can before dealing with Mogi. MSC still cowering away behind the crater. They have day trade to deal with as well. I mean, it's Mogi's game to lose, especially when they're in the center of the circle. They've got the compound. There's no way they don't get this next one as well. Goes right on top of them. But who comes in second? Who gets the maximum points out of this available? If not Mogi.
Well, you look at that leaderboard, Jordan, and whoever wins this game, right, of these 4, you'd think probably joins that top, well, not top 4, more so 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, right? They don't quite catch up to Q Confirm, but should theoretically kind of get close to Buriram, Golden Cat, and potentially Cerberus, depending on, of course, how many kills from here they get, plus the win. It could be the case. Might be high 60s, but even then, high 60s is not so bad, because it just means that one of these 4 teams, they're kind of back in the race for at least 2nd place at a minimum.
Everyone wants to just settle down for a little bit, try and focus some of the attention away from them. It's a case of, if it gets into the first engagement, may well get third-partied. No one wants to be that unfortunate soul. Venotica, Flash, and Métis are just inside of the safe zone. I mean, I guess Métis kind of outside, but he can get in okay. MSC know that they need to do something, but I don't know about this one. Crossing a complete open ground, there's a crossfire between every single team. That's what I'm talking about, Xenox. No one wants to be the team to make the first move. Unfortunately for MSC, they have been, and they have just been slaughtered. That was a firing squad.
It was a firing squad. MSC have probably had more downs than ups this tournament, fair to say, that one. And for them, Rossiter Jr., last one alive now. Mulgi still with 4. A lot of teams around them, but from this position, surely a couple more kills and a win should be their destiny from here. 3 up still for Day Trade, 3 up still for Divine. Divine making their way back into the top 5. They've gone about it quietly as well. They haven't been flashy. Nikki, Turtle, and MC all still up, Jordan, but they're getting the job done, I guess, outside of our perspective, outside of our view. They haven't been flashy. They haven't been in our faces about it.
Divine could certainly be a problem for Maogi Esports here. They're just above them. I guess, again, the thing is, though, if Divine starts fighting Maogi, that's where Day Trade tries to get aggressive. So everyone wants to take that first move right now. They're all just going to slowly but surely push on in. The closest to the center of the circle right now is still Maogi. Day Trade are also kind of there, but they all have to leave cover. So it's just a case of who actually has to leave cover that half second or couple of seconds before their opposition. I think Day Trade don't look too bad right now.
They certainly do not. 7 kills this game as well. They've definitely had a much better day 2 compared to day 1. Not that day 1 was all that bad. Really, all these teams, even MSC kind of included, have all been thereabouts middle of the pack. They just haven't been as good as, say, the top 4. The top 4 have been in their own echelon. Everyone else, really from 5th to last, could all beat each other. That's the way it seems. Like, if you were to put them in a 4v4 fight from 5th to 16th, I don't know who you would back. Divine are just completely being decimated by utility, smokes, molotovs, and nades. And now Maogi Esports push out of their compound. They haven't been in a lot of fights. They haven't needed to be. But now with all this utility, they can push out. They wipe out Divine Esports in 3rd. Day Trade was next, and Day Trade's gone as well immediately. Maogi Esports making quick work of Day Trade and Divine. They shift up into the top 5 as well off the back of that win. 17 points in the back pocket.
They had 2 kills going into that final 3-team engagement, and they end up with 7 kill points. So not too bad of a result in the end. They're getting 5 of them. 17 points, as you say. Day Trade also keeping themselves chugging along quite nicely. They're still pretty interesting of a team in the middle of the pack. Same with Divine. Nice to see Fury being able to get something on the board, as well as Astra as well. It's a lot of the middle of the pack teams getting points out of our final game of today. One key point to take a look at, though, Bahamut Gaming this time struggling on Miramar, and it has been a map that's been very successful for them throughout this competition so far, but not so this time. The big 3, though, largely missing out. Cerberus, only 7 points out of that. Q Confirm 2, and Golden Cat 1. So it certainly does give the opportunity for the rest of that pack to start catching up to the top 4.
Yep. Well, there's only 10 games to go. This is the thing now. We're at the halfway point. So we're not past it yet, but we're at the halfway point. The gap for first is large. The gap from then the 3 teams below first is also quite substantially large. Although Maogi Esports only 15 points behind Buriram, it's not too bad. But you can see this trend. Q Confirm running away with things, 3 chicken dinners, but 34-point gap. It's not impossible, obviously, for the likes of Cerberus, Golden Cat, Buriram. We've stated that multiple times, Jordan, but everyone below them, like, I don't know if Maogi, Day Trade, Divine, MSC, have they got what it takes for first? Probably not, but they can still get second, so there's still so much to play for. It is an excruciatingly close lobby that we've got here for APAC.
Yeah, I got to give you some credit as well, Xenox. You said at the start of today, you know, what kind of a number would you be happy with? And you threw about 120 in there. I sort of scoffed at that. I thought, you know, surely they're not going to be able to put 2 60-plus days on the board. And yet Q Confirm have more or less done that. Now, admittedly, it hasn't been as good as their day 1, but they had a 1st place and a 2nd place today. They had a 5th place in there with 10 kills as well. So they've really been continuing to put that pressure on the scoreboard. And what's crazy about this for Q Confirm is that they're getting more than 11 points a game. They're almost getting 12 points a game, Xenox. That's just unreasonable numbers. And, you know, I thought this exact thing after day 1. I said, there's no way they're going to be able to keep that kind of a number up. But they've done it 2 days in a row. So who's to say they can't do it next week? Who's to say that they're not going to come out of this competition with 200-plus points out of a 20-round tournament? It's unbelievable.
But when you look at the kill points alone for Q Confirm, 70 kill points, which is more than every team except for Cerberus, Golden Cat, and Buriram's total points. So from 5th to 16th, they've all got less total points than kill points for Q Confirm. nuts, incredible. Then you consider they're also dominating placement points wise as well with 47. So they're doing it in all facets. They're getting kills, a lot of kills, and they're getting a lot of placement points, which is why, as you said, they're averaging a ridiculous margin per match. And with only 10 games remaining now, so if we look at this as the halfway mark and we're like, okay, right now I would say Qconfirm has kind of set the standard that if you want to win PCS1 APAC with 10 games remaining, you're going to have to be around 200, 220 points. Like that's probably the figure you'd be looking at. So for every other team from here on out, Jordan, with 10 games remaining, if we look at even just like Cerberus, Golden Cat, and Buriram, they're going to need like 140, 150 points in 10 games. That's an average of 14, 15 points a game. That is very unlikely.
I mean, it's crazy when you look at the scores that they were able to get in the Charity Showdown, Division X. 165 points was first place. And that was also including Creatori, who only got 55 points out of the 20 games. So things are looking a bit rough for everyone else. I think Qconfirm are just going to run away with this.
Well, we do have one of our interviewees ready to go. I think it may actually be our only one. It is B2 from Carnage Esports, of course, Oceanic team, able to pick up a win. Not just a win, but their first win, of course. B2, congratulations. Your first win as a team international. And the first, I don't know if you actually saw the stat, but it's also the first Oceanic win at an international level since 2019 in August.
I saw that, and I was pretty surprised, actually, because I thought I've seen our teams actually perform consistently well overseas. I guess they haven't just converted it into a win. I mean, we're pretty lucky there to get that feed at the compound there, and we got a few kills stolen, and we couldn't really shoot much. So it was unfortunate that we only got 3 kills, but I'll take it.
All right, a question from me then as well. Let's talk about your mentality coming into today. Obviously, day one wasn't too great for Carnage. You come into game number 1 and Bryn gets one tapped straight out of the truck. Is it kind of just feeling like, it's more of the same? Or were you guys feeling pretty comfortable with your mentality, like regardless of what was sort of being thrown at you?
We were definitely a lot more comfortable today, I suppose, because coming into this tournament, coming into the tournament, we knew that they have a different style of play, but until you actually experience it, you can't actually get a grasp of how different it is. And we were thrown off by that a bit yesterday, and we looked really carefully at what things we can do and how we can adapt. And I think we adapted fairly well. We did make a few errors there, which cost us a few points here and there. And there was some just random things happening as well with some people. Like we had like 1 or 2 cars in both Miramar games, and we've been getting randomly dropped on it in Impala, which they've never come before. It's just a bit throws us off a bit, but we've just got to deal with it really.
B2, before I let you go, just one more question for you guys, sort of going into now the last 10 games. Now we've done the first 10 games. What for you guys is now the goal from here on out? Is it a certain placing? Like, do you want like top 10, or is it a certain amount of points, or is it just more of an understanding of the competition you're playing against, learning? Is it just a learning process?
It is definitely a learning process, but in all honesty, we can still reach the point gap difference is not that high. We can still reach top 6 here, I think, and that'd be a good result for us.
Yeah, awesome. Any shout outs before I let you go?
Not really, no. Thanks for everyone, I guess.
What about Carnage?
Yes, thanks Carnage for supporting us. We love you, and everyone cheering us on, I guess. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. Best of luck, of course, for next week, mate.
Cool. Thank you.
Well, Jordan, just before we wrap things up, I get your final thoughts at the halfway mark now for PCS1 APAC.
Well, I got to say, I was not expecting that kind of dominance from any team, to be honest, in the PCS Series 1. But Qconfirm looking like they're going to run away with things. That said, we've been sort of highlighting the fact that they were a little inconsistent over the Charity Showdown. And if things slow down in the second half of this competition, there are a few teams that are still within striking distance. I think they're going to need to keep up the pace, but they're not going to need to keep up quite as much of a pace. So Cerberus, Golden Cat, Buriram, for me, are the ones that are still in the discussion. Maogi onwards are fighting for just a bit of extra cash.
Well, that's going to be us done for PCS1 APAC. In 2.5 hours' time, it will be Europe on the big stage. Of course, if you're still interested in those codes, there will be more given away during the Europe broadcast. That's going to be in 2.5 hours' time. For us, though, we'll see you next Thursday.